There was an attack, so dozens attacked a suspect in connection to a woman's death in New York. Let's put up the picture full mass. It was a hell of a scene. I have some of the screenshots from this attack in New York. Chad Irish is facing charges in connection to the death of a woman whose body was found wrapped in a sleeping bag on the street. The day Irish was arrested, dozens of people, including some of the victim's family members, surrounded Irish, yelling obscenities to him, calling him a murderer, obviously emotionally upset by what he is alleged to have done. Even as authorities worked to shield him, some people got close enough to punch and grab him. The victim's mother, Nicole Williams, was even heard shouting at the man, "You killed my daughter. Please kill him." Irish reportedly is now wheelchair bound.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
The 5th of June, police found the body of a 31-year-old, Yazmeen Williams, next to a pile of trash after they were called to the Kips Bay community of Manhattan about a suspicious package on the curb on Friday, June 5th. The body was found in a sleeping bag, partially covered by a trash bag. A medical examiner later revealed that Williams was shot in the head and ruled her death a homicide. Police are still working to determine where the killing actually took place. However, investigators are examining a video from Friday that shows a man in a motorized vehicle, believed to be Mr. Irish, using a dolly to drag a bag outside and leave it on East 27th Street. And you see the screenshot there of the alleged evidence. That's the location where the body was in fact discovered. Community members told police Williams was actually friends with this man who uses that vehicle where she was raised and lived. Family members and neighbors say Williams was a light in her neighborhood, so many were outraged by her death. She was charismatic, a bright star to them. She had just started a job with the New York City Housing Authority after graduating from Buffalo State University with a degree in criminal justice. Her mother said she had plans to later become a lawyer. So Irish does have 21 priors to his name. Sources say he served 3 years in prison after he was convicted for an attempted arson for trying to blow up his uncle's home. This was in the Bronx back in 1994 by dislodging a gas pipe and propane tank, sparking an explosion. Police said the menacing and weapons charges that were lodged against him this week were not tied to Williams' death, but were from outstanding warrants from a prior incident. Now, naturally, this is still in the investigatory stage, but they believe, according to the arrest, that this is the person who is connected to the homicide. The video that has gone viral depicts an angry mob and does not grant proper context to why the mob is angry. And what I wanted to do is to first say I do not condone violence. I definitely am okay with self-defense. And I'm not somebody who says yes to being a vigilante. But I do want you to understand the context of this. That was a person that the mother knew, okay? And the mother was aware that the daughter and the man knew each other as well. And she was able to see the footage of what seemed to be him in his motorized vehicle carrying her daughter in a trash bag, dragging her along the sidewalk. Emotional, of course. Other family members are there as well as community supporters. They feel that emotional charge. The police did attempt to shield the suspect, and it was quasi-successful. He was able to get in a police squad car and be taken into custody. This story obviously is going to unfold more and more as the evidence presents itself where there's some adjudication prior. All right, thoughts?
Well, first of all, I, like yourself, am not a fan of vigilante justice. I want to go on the record saying what that crowd did was not okay. It was horrific, but I'm not mad at it. And I don't think the police were either. This is the first time where you saw police they were fighting them off, but they weren't trying too hard. Like we all saw, those cops weren't as interested in protecting Mr. Irish as they were in protecting the interests of the murdered Yazmeen Williams, who was a light in her community.
Yeah.
I would like to say on a specific point, because I feel like you honestly covered it all. I think we do need to pay attention is how the media portrayed this for everybody. It showed the violence of Black people, Black men specifically, towards someone who looked like they were unable to protect themselves without any context.
Yeah.
Whenever we see these stories, whenever it's a white male that's a serial killer or murderer, they've always got the family picture. And yet, whenever it's a Black person who's a possible murderer, it's always their gangster pose. This is just another one of those, just on the other end of that pendulum. And we need to be very aware of how Black people and people of color are represented in the media, and pay attention to how they show us.
Very well said. Very well said. All right, we will bring updates, obviously.